Woo! Yes, that Zoom lady gets me every time. I should be used to it by now. I feel like this is the 5th episode I've said I should get used to this lady saying this Zoom is going to be recorded by now. But anyway,
it's nice of them to let us know.
I know now it's nice.
Because more for the remembering to record it.
Yes, and hit the OK button. Good morning, everyone. This is Let's Talk Java. I am your host, the Power Lady, Laarni Mulvey. And I am here with one of my special guests, one of my friends that I've met virtually, another virtual friend of mine that I will eventually meet here in person one of these days. But I have Debbie Harrell here today, and I'm so glad she's taking some time to hop on to my onto Let's Talk Java today, because I have so many questions for her, and we've talked before. I've talked on her podcast, and now she's coming on to my pod show. I'm calling this a pod show because I haven't really uploaded it yet on audio, but you can catch it on the Strong and Mighty page. It is under the playlist for the Let's Talk Java show. So please hit like and subscribe onto the Strong and Mighty page, and follow all of our amazing guests that are featured on Let's Talk Java. So Debbie, welcome. Welcome to Let's Talk Java. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, my virtual friend, Laarni Mulvey. I have so many virtual friends now.
I know, right? I know. It's like my friend circle has gotten huge. It's gone international because
right? They're all over the place.
So first things first, let's see what is in your cup today. Talk about what's in your cup today.
What's in my cup? It's a travel mug. Not that I'm going anyplace, but I like it to stay warm, and I love my stickers. I came to the coffee world kind of late in life. I've only really been drinking coffee for probably the past 5 years.
Really?
So I really know nothing about coffee other than what's in my cup is a breakfast blend, organic, fair trade, with a little bit of coconut milk.
Oh. So I have in my
cup, and collagen. I put collagen in this morning.
Do you really? Oh, I have questions about collagen. So we'll talk about that later. But okay. So in my cup, I actually just have water right now because I've switched over. I've had like 4 cups this morning, but this is just water, plain water. But in my coffee mug this morning, in my Hello Kitty coffee mug, it was just Pete's regular coffee. It's the Major Dickinson's blend because I feel like it's the strongest. It's the strongest coffee that they have, and it's my go-to coffee.
Okay. See, I don't have a favorite coffee, and I've actually been thinking, not that I think coffee is all that bad for me, but I really I enjoy the ritual of making the coffee in the morning and the smelling, and it's so warm. And I thought, should I put something in my cup that might be actually doing good things for me? So I've been looking into like coffee alternatives that have like adaptogens. Like I know there's one called mud water, brasa, like some that are just cacao.
Yeah.
And so I've been kind of thinking about that. You might see a poll on my Instagram coming up soon, because I was like, does anybody use these? Because they look so interesting, but I don't want to spend a crap ton of money to get something that tastes like mud.
So like I love how like your podcast is New World Normal.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that, because I want to tie this into what you were just saying about coffee. But before that, you know what? Introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are. we all
this lady. Well, I'm Laarni's virtual friend. Isn't that enough?
We all started talking like we normally would. I was like, wait a minute, we haven't even introduced you.
Yes, my name is Debbie Harrell. I live in Southern California, worked as an employee my entire life.
Island, don't forget that.
On an island, yes. And yes, I've worked as an employee most of my life, decided in the midst of a worldwide pandemic that it was a good time to start my own business. Mainly because I saw a need, like people were legit going crazy about what the new normal would be.
I think that's really interesting that you started your business to start off a different mindset, like a different thought process, because I have read that people are like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Now I can go out and do stuff. Like, what do I do? Like, how do I do things? So what was like one of the biggest things that you learned about yourself, like throughout like building your business and this new world normal? Like, what was the inspiration of you making this podcast
Well, it
or
was,
your business?
I really wanted to flip the script because everyone seemed overwhelmed and frightened and um, upset about the thoughts of the new normal and all the things that were going to be taken away from us is what the angle everyone was coming at. But I kept thinking, well, what about all the good stuff? Like that we're seeing from spending more time at home, the slowing down, the more family time, the environmental impact of people not driving to work every day. And I just started thinking, well, if we move forward intentionally, choosing the things we want, leaving behind the things we don't, wouldn't that make the world just a little bit better and not so scary and overwhelming?
Yeah. It's like we all of a sudden we shift to like, oh my God, this is so bad. But where's the good, like when you said where's the good stuff? Like I know we talked about it before, like when you're interviewing me, and I was just like the plastic. Like I'm
I mean, I think there's so many things that are struggling in our society, and we all recognize it, and we all want to do better, but we're so busy trying to live our lives, we don't really have the time to, well, how exactly would I go about changing that in my life? So that's part of the new world normal, is making the talking about the things like the environment, the social issues, and breaking it down with practical strategies and easy ways to implement the changes in your lives, and really the building the community so you have that support of, I'm calling it a soft space, not necessarily a safe space, but to bounce those ideas, because it is uncomfortable. So it's not always safe. Like I'm going to say something that might be uncomfortable for me and you, but I'm doing it with the intention of learning to do better, like, because we all are trying to learn and do better. And then when someone jumps on you for saying something wrong, you know, you're not going to learn anything. You're just going to be like, okay, I'm just going to stay right here and do things the way I've always been doing it because that wasn't very nice.
Do you think that communication is changing, is going to be changing in this new world normal? Do you think people communicating with each other are going to be different, is going to be different?
Well, that's the hope, that we start listening to each other, listen to understand rather than just listen to respond. I think that's what everyone does right now. Like even, on social media, you're typing your response before you've even read through what other people's comments are, to like really understand where the conversation is going. Like you're like, all fired up, and people are so quick to argue and find the differences instead of looking for the bridges and the things that we have in common, because they want us to believe that we're all so divided, black and white, or right and wrong. And there's a lot more gray areas where we do agree and we want similar things. So let's find those and build on them.
I was in one of these groups, and I didn't get like jumped on, but people are like, if you're not going to follow directions from what your my physical therapist says, you might as well, what's your priority? And I was like, you know what, you're right. And I don't know if that person was like, whoa, she said I was right when I was like challenging her. No argument there. I'm like, no argument. I'm just like, you're right. And I just think that way of communicating where you're talking about that gray area, it's okay to say that the other person is right.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah. And sometimes a different perspective that you haven't thought of will shine a light somewhere. You're like, oh, I never really thought about it like that.
Yes.
You have an excellent point.
And you're just like, dang it, why didn't I think about that? Shoot. Yeah. And I think I love that conversation and that communication of this new world normal. I really do hope that it goes into that way of communicating better and understanding things in a different perspective, without being so like, no, I'm right. I'm right.
Yeah, we don't all always need to be right.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't ever learn anything new if you're just like,
Oh,
this is I'm right. And like, I don't
see,
know.
that's a good point that you just said. That's a great point. It's a great point. So, along with your new business journey, let's talk about this coffee thing that you were just talking about. This difference, like you never were a coffee drinker, and then now you're looking into these coffees. Like, what made you make the shift?
To start drinking
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah,
Well, I discovered that, and I've had
yeah. See,
caffeine,
that's
but I don't
great.
know, it just hit me different one day where I was like, I'm gonna have this cup of coffee. I never really liked the taste, but for whatever reason, I decided, and I got that, ooh, that, not jittery, just like up. And I was like, oh, that's why people drink this stuff. So I got into it. My friend has a coffee shop, and for the locals, it's $1 cup of coffee, self-serve. So I was like, that's so easy. I could go in, get my cup of coffee, say hi to everybody. And so that was kind of a ritual until lockdown. Then I was like, hey, can I get a couple bags of that coffee? So I started making it at home. I got my French press, and that became part of my ritual during the pandemic. And so it is, I like the ritual of it. And the caffeine still affects me the same way. Like I still like that, like, ooh, little pick me up, because I am not a morning person. As you know, as you
I know, I know. I'm so glad you're up for me this morning. To do
um
this.
so yes, that's why. But then, trying to be more intentional with what I'm doing and putting in my body, like, what is this really doing for me? I mean, it's waking me up, but is there something that could actually um feed other parts of because I do have issues with depression and anxiety. And I started wondering, like, is this really helping my anxiety? Like days when I would be a little extra anxious, I'm like, could it be the coffee? Could that be?
I'll tell you though, I met somebody who sometimes the um he started his own coffee. Well, I think it was like a family coffee business. It's an organic acid-free coffee. And
Okay.
sometimes that acid, like people are like, oh, that acid upsets my stomach, but it still has the caffeine. But I think the science, like he was telling me the science of like the coffee bean and stuff, and I was like, that's really interesting.
Well, people do try and have a more alkaline, what makeup pH
Al-
balance. I obviously don't know the science either. I'm like, oh, coffee has acid.
Do you so you were saying that you're like trying to put some extra like things in your coffee that's good for your body, and you said you're putting in collagen. How is that going for you? Or have you just started doing it? Do you notice it?
I do it intermittently. I did it consistently for years, and I really feel like it helped my hair and nails. And um but yeah, I had to say, like, oh yes, my hair is so much better than it was before. I can't really say for sure, but I feel like I'm doing what I can to help my hair. It is thicker than it was, but I also stopped dyeing my hair in the pandemic.
Oh, how'd that go? I love like these changes, like these like little changes that you're making through the pandemic. I love it. Like,
Well, it's been so transformational, like the whole thing. And um the hair, like you think, oh, it's just your hair growing out, but no, that's a whole transformation too. Like I find it very empowering. You feel so much more authentic and aligned. And that just plays right into being more intentional. Like, I am who I am. I am an older woman with gray hair. That's okay. And what do I want in life? What lights me up? What aligns with my core values? Those are the things I'm going to do more of. And the reality is, the dyeing my hair was because I was resisting getting old. Those grays would pop out every 4 weeks, and it'd be like, and then I'm slathering my head with chemicals to change the color, which doesn't align with my feelings on what we should be doing for the environment.
mm,
So yeah, like getting rid of all of that. I just have a little bit of dye left on the ends, and then I'll be all
And it looks good.
Oh, see, look at how it changed the lighting. It's like, oh, white.
Your hair looks good, you know.
I love it. It feels healthy, healthier than it has in my scalp because I wash my hair so much less, which is weird. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know how I don't have to wash my hair as much. I
Mm-hmm.
do a nice like apple cider vinegar rinse on my scalp, which I wouldn't have ever done with dyed hair because I would have been worried about messing up the dye with the vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
So my scalp feels good. My hair feels good.
So really, like what is your new, is this part of your new normal for you?
It is for me. I mean, it's not necessarily a mandate for anybody in the new world normal because, it's a personal choice. And yeah, it's just been part of my transition to whatever it is, from whatever I was to whoever I am now. Um, I just feel like there's been a lot of personal growth for a lot of people this past year.
Yeah.
Like when the world makes you sit still, sit down and think about what you've done. Yeah, you think about it and you reassess what is working for me and what's not.
I feel like a lot of people have done that
Mhm.
throughout the pandemic. Um, do you have any like tips or kind of suggestions for people who are coming out of their houses and like peeking out the, whoa, this is what the sun is like? Oh my God. Do you have any like suggestions on how to go back or learn or, like think about what's the, like how to maintain, they had like that normal during the pandemic. And now, like they've had, like you have that transformation. Like, do you, how do you have any like suggestions to keep that, going
I
now?
I would just say do it mindfully. Don't rush back to your pre-pandemic normal on autopilot. Like really spend some time reflecting on what it is you learned this past year, what things you want to take with you, what things you want to leave behind, because it is an opportunity to make a shift for ourselves individually that will also then shift for the collective. You know, if
Yeah,
we're all thinking about doing certain things more mindfully, that's going to make a bigger shift across the board, in
I love
theory.
that. I feel the same way. Like I um you know it's getting to that point in my life that I've learned so much about myself that I'm like, shoot, I don't want to go back to the conveyor belt of life.
Uh-huh.
I love what I'm doing right now. I get to talk to people like you and like all my new like virtual friends, like all these things, you know what I'm saying? It's like I want to take it with
People talk about Zoom burnout, and I was like, that's where all my friends are. Like, I love Zoom.
I love them too. I mean, it's like I've met so many people, and like through Facebook groups and through events and everything, and it's just I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
How much has that shifted for you, your use of social media, Facebook specifically? Like,
You know what? My
it's
my shift in the social media world is so different than it was in 2019, 2020.
uh-huh.
I'm not just there like mindlessly like scrolling. Like I'll go, have you looked at what your news feed brings you? Like my news feed used to bring me like crap.
Uh-huh.
And now it's like the things that I really love. Food. So like recipes and stuff are coming on. Like cooking things are coming up there. Fitness things, that's for sure.
Uh-huh.
And even like the people who are like being recommended to me, they're like not like people that, I mean, they're like people that I would that I would have something in common with.
Mhm.
And so it's not just like a garbage news feed that it used to be.
Right. It's inspiring. Like a lot of it is people that are doing things like growing and changing and starting businesses. And um, I intentionally got out of a bunch of groups
Yes.
that I found were just stressing me out. And it was so noticeable. after I got out of those groups, how my experience on the newsfeed changed and how I was just so much calmer and like not angry at my screen. Like, why are these people arguing about this constantly? Oh, maybe I should just stop watching them argue
Yeah.
because it makes me want to argue.
Yes. Yes. I like one of these, when you get your memories on Facebook, like 10 years ago, I guess I got into some kind of like back and forth, like challenging conversation with somebody saying like, somebody told me like, you don't want to be like her or whatever. And I was just like, look at you. I think the response was like, who are you to tell me, and I was like, wow, this started 10 years ago.
It's so funny. Sometimes reading those, I'm like, who is this woman? And I will often delete it out of embarrassment for myself. I was like, I want to make sure nobody ever sees that again. That's just embarrassing.
I guess that, like when it was like it was at the point where this conversation was like challenging me and who I am as like, who do you think you are kind of person. And when I came back and said, who do you think you are? I was just like, yes, I did it 10 years ago. I could still do it today.
Strong lady, power lady.
Oh my gosh. It's hilarious. So, okay. This is our toot toot section here, unless
toot, toot.
I know that we could probably talk about like.
I feel like you need that music. What is that song with the all aboard the train? Toot,
Oh,
it's like a disco song, isn't it?
Yes.
I'd
have to look that up, and then I'd have to get like the 15 seconds or the 10 seconds, so I wouldn't get a copyright infringement.
Right. That would be fun though. Oh, toot toot. So this is when I'm supposed to toot toot?
Yes, toot toot yourself. This is the time where you talk about yourself, talk about, how people can find you, your podcast, anything.
My podcast.
Anything that's coming down the pipeline. Like I know you do some like group courses. I know you did that anti-racism one. I love that one. So like if you have something coming up, like let us know so people can find you.
Yes, that was in the New World Normal community, which you can find on Facebook. It's a private group, but it's available to everybody. It's free. That's the word I was looking for. Free. And it's basically the community space where we work on these things. We, like Marnie said, we did a 30-day anti-racist challenge. That was actually a program that somebody else built. We just did it together as a group. And next month we're talking about doing a book club. So we're going to be picking our book this week and then starting that next month. So if you're interested in reading a book with us that might contribute to having a better new normal, come check out the group. And then I'm most active on my Instagram feed, which is at the New World Norm. I don't know who Norm is, but normal wasn't available. Every time I say it, I think like of a person, some guy, that TV show Norm.
Cheers.
Oh yeah, Norm. Anyway, so that is my intentional apparel shop, which is going to be sponsoring my podcast, which will be launching this month at some point.
She does have a date, you guys.
In August. It was supposed to be August 1st, and now it's just like sometime in August. I have to do it before September because September I am busy with lots of other fun stuff. So fun personal stuff. So I want to have it out. So when I meet people and they ask you that awful question that we always ask each other, so what do you do? I'll have a much more concise answer. I'm a podcaster.
There you go. How about your clothing, your gear?
Clothing. This is in my intentional apparel shop, which is
what is that? What did it say? When the power of love. Totally looking at your boobs. My bad. When the power of love. What's that? Overcomes the love of power, the world. Oh, well, no peace. That's cute.
This is actually a Jimi Hendrix quote, and it's one of my favorites, and it's so true. Anyways, our shop is full of inspirational quotes, mantras. You can make a custom intention word. So if there's any word you're focusing on You can put it on a t-shirt. So I call it a cozy reminder of what you're trying to put into the world.
Oh,
And
I like
yeah.
it. See, you didn't tell me that before. I like that.
Well, originally it was
new, Debbie.
well, I have to say it different ways every time I say it. Sometimes it sounds really good, and other times it sounds like, what the hell are you doing? The original tagline was soft clothes for hard times.
Oh, I like that too.
Because I was just going to do all like leisure lounge wear since we were stuck at home.
And now we can wear these awesome shirts out that have positive messages, you know?
Right. And these, like this night, this is my favorite t-shirt. It's called the Tailor. I named it after my friend who she's that girl that has it all together, you know, like she has 2 young kids and they're always doing crafts and all these amazing things. And so I was like, that's why I feel like this shirt has it all together. It's super comfy, but it's fitted. So you can wear it with like a little blazer or something. So it looks kind of pulled together. Anyways. That's why I like this.
Well, it's cute. I love it. I love it. So everybody who is looking for comfy put together shirts, please go to Debbie's shop and order the Tailor shirt.
The New World Norm. Whoever that guy
Norm.
Norm is. I should make a New World Norm, a guy.
T-shirt idea.
Ah.
You just say who's Norm.
Who's Norm? Oh, I am really excited. I'm talking to an Australian anthropologist about the word normal for my podcast.
Really?
He's a doctor. I'm like, I feel so legitimized. Like, okay.
Validated. You're
validated. That's the word I'm looking for.
You're validated because you're actually talking to someone who, like, you know, anthropologizes stuff.
Good stuff.
Oh my gosh. All right, Debbie. Everybody,
thanks, Laarni.
Please go on to all her social media pages, her shop. I will put all the information on the YouTube description link so you guys can catch her. Her new podcast is coming out in August, because I know it's going to come out in August, because if it doesn't come out in August, I am going to go to her island and search her out and tell her to post her podcast. But check out her awesome gear. Check out some of the some of the programs that she's going to be putting out here, her book club, you know, things like that. You know, it's really important to continue to support each other. And also, when we're coming out of the pandemic life, you know, we're slowly coming out now, but, you know, some of the norms are something that we want to take into the world now. So find your value in who you are, and all of your transformations and stuff throughout the pandemic, you know, understand them and realize that they're probably helpful to the world. So, you know, for me, it was a plastic thing. But anyway, you guys, this is the episode of Let's Talk Java. I am your host, Laarni Mulvey, the Power Lady, and my special awesome guest today, Debbie. So please make sure you guys follow her, check out all of her cool stuff on her IGs and her shops. And I will talk to you guys all next episode. So, you know, we do this live here. So, you know, Debbie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Laarni. It was so fun. Very painless.
See, I told you. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.